read a story today that I absolutely love, so I'm very excited about this. We're going to preview the topic here. Everyone have a look at the screen. Traditions. Our world is made up of many cultures. Groups of people who share a way of life have their own culture. It includes language, music, art, and food. Each culture also has traditions. These are beliefs and actions that have been followed and passed down from one generation to the next. Folk tales are part of a culture's traditions. These stories explain the world in some way or teach people how to behave. The Harvest Birds is a Mexican folk tale. In this story, the main character learns lessons about nature, farming, and even about who he is as a person. So he learns a lesson about himself as well. So, before we start, can anyone tell me of any tradition that you have in your family or any very important traditions that you can tell me about Vietnam in general? Kaki, what do you think? An Ao Zai. Okay, good girl. So tell me a little bit about an Ao Zai. What is it? When do we see Ao Zais?
It is like a
A traditional.
traditional clothes, and we often wear it in
Very, very good. Well done. So Kaki said that a type of clothing that is really traditional here in Vietnam is an Ao Zai. So they're very beautiful. I've seen lots and lots of boys and girls wearing Ao Zais. We traditionally wear Ao Zais in Vietnam when it's Tet holiday. I've also noticed a lot of people wear Ao Zais during weddings or when you graduate from university. And they're beautiful pieces of clothing that people wear for special occasions. Really good. Cherry, can you tell me about another tradition?
Uh, can I say about the tradition in my family?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
There is a yes day.
A yes day. Ooh, can you tell me about that?
Um, uh, the yes day that there is a day that our mom and dad agree of everything we said.
Okay, and how long has that been going on for? How many years in a row do you have a yes day? One
Um,
year, 2 years?
a month a time.
Oh, so once a month?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Wow, your parents are very, very, very exciting parents. I wish my parents gave me a yes day. Cherry, what's the most exciting thing you've asked for on yes day that you got to get?
Um, uh, Maybe that my mom can buy me a new phone.
Wow, lucky you. Maybe I'm going to start asking my parents for a yes day. Very good. That's a fun tradition. Okay, guys, let's begin looking at the harvest birds. So, the genre of this story today is a folk tale. So, a folk tale is an old story that reflects a culture's customs. Customs here is another word for traditions. So, a folk tale is different in every different country. So, when we learned about Ye Shen, that was the Cinderella version, the Chinese version of Cinderella. So folk tales are old stories that reflect a certain culture's traditions. So sometimes we have similar stories that have little differences in them, like Cinderella and Ye Shen. As we read these folk tales, we can see a plot that teaches us a lesson. We usually find a main character who shows the value of a culture, and we usually see information about the customs or the traditions of a certain culture. So let's all go ahead and open our books. So today we're going to be learning about the harvest birds, and I just want to show a picture of this Zanate bird. So the Zanate bird is a bird that is commonly found in Southern America, the South of America. And this is one of the birds that we will be looking at in today's selection. So it almost looks like a crow, but it's got a beautiful big black tail here. So guys, can you all please open your books to page 278? Who will please read about the author for me? Blanca Lopez de Mariscal. Katie.
Blanca Lopez de
Mariska. Blanca Lopez,
Blanca.
Blanca Lopez de Marisca teaches at a university in Mexico. She writes and gives speeches about Mexican art, history, and
Literature.
literature. The Harvest Birds is her first children's book. She says she wrote this story because it was important to her to introduce children to Mexican storytelling.
Very good. Lovely reading. Thanks, Katie. So here we've learned about Blanca Lopez de Mariscal. She is very rich in her Mexican art, history, and literature. So she's very enriched in her Mexican culture. This is her first ever children's book, and she decided to write this book because she thinks it's important to introduce children to Mexican culture as well as introducing adults and teenagers as well. Let's have a look at the illustrator. Cherry, can you go ahead and read about Linda Kane for me?
Linda Kane. Linda Kane lives in the country. She has 2 dogs, a horse, a cat, and 2 peacocks. Kane loves outdoor activities such as hiking, skiing,
Good.
and horseback riding. She has traveled to many places in the States,
United.
United States, and all over the world.
Lovely reading. Thanks, Cherry. So, Linda Kane is a lady who lives in the countryside. She's got quite an array of pets. She's got 2 dogs, a horse, a cat, and 2 peacocks. And she loves being outdoors and being within nature. And she is the lady who has illustrated this book for us. Okay, so let's just have a look. The harvest birds. Everyone have focused your attention to the essential question here. What do traditional tales tell readers about life? So, as you read today, think about what folk tales and traditional tales in this book are telling you about life. What is the message or the lesson that the author is trying to get you to understand? We'll discuss that tomorrow in a little bit more depth. So, just have a think about that as we read today. Okay, guys, so let's begin with our reading. So I'm going to call on random students to read for me. I'm going to read the first sentence. In a little town where everyone knew everyone, there lived a young man called Juan Sanate. So this name, it's not Juan. J's in Spanish are pronounced like ha, 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 with an H. Juan Sanate. Nuna, read the next sentence.
He was given this name because he was always seen with 1 or 2 Zanate birds.
Simon.
Juan lived under his favorite tree, dreaming and planning his life.
Daisy.
He had wanted to have his own land, and his father and grandfather
As his father.
as his father and grandfather had.
Good job. Well done. Demi.
However, when his father died and the land was divided, there was enough for only his 2 older brothers.
Good job. Bo.
Because of this, Juan had to go to work in the shops of the town.
Good job. Swimming.
If only I had my own land, my life would be different. Juan thought.
Very good. Kaki.
He went to see Don Tobias, the richest man in town, and asked to borrow a little piece of his land.
Good job. Okay, so we're just going to stop there for a second and think about what we've just read. So, in a little town, there was a man named Juan Zanate. He was given this name because he was always hanging around with these black birds called Zanate birds. And he used to sit under his favorite tree, dreaming and planning for his life. He really wanted his own land, as his father and grandfather had. But unfortunately, when his dad died, the land was divided, and there was only enough land to go to his two older brothers. So that means that Juan was left with nothing. So he had to go to work in the town and really try and work hard. But he really just wanted to have his own land. He wanted to be independent. So he decides he was going to go to the richest man in town and ask to borrow some of his land. What do you learn about Juan Zanate already? What can you tell me about what you think or what you know about Juan Zanate? Nancy, what do you think?
I think Juan Zanate just wants his independent life to practice living alone and growing his own crops.
Very good. So I would agree with you. He wants to be independent. He wants to practice being an independent man. He doesn't want to rely on his bosses or employers to pay him. He wants his own land to make his own money. Dami, what do you think about Juan?
I think that he is poor.
Exactly. That's something too. It doesn't seem like he's very happy with his own monetary situation right now. Absolutely. And last one, Katie, what do you think?
I think one wants to have a land on his own and he thinks that he had one, but he didn't give up. He went to the richest man in the town to ask for a piece of land.
Very good, Katie. That is the main answer I was looking for. So even though what he's wanted and dreamed of his whole life is to have his own land, it didn't happen that way for him. Unfortunately, his older brothers got the land and he was left with nothing. But instead of just being sad about it, he's actually trying to do something about it. He decides to go to Don Tobias, the richest man in town, and ask to borrow some of his land. So this lets me know already that Juan seems like quite a hard-working man. Let's keep reading. I'll read the first sentence. Don Tobias burst out laughing, and his wife laughed with him. Kitty, can you take over? Keep reading.
Why should I let you use my land? He asked. You don't know anything about making things grow. Sad and ashamed, Juan returned to sit under his tree. It was the only place where he felt really happy. In its huge branches lived a flock of
Sanate.
Sanate birds who were so used to him that they thought of him as their friend.
Very good. Lovely reading, Kitty. Okay, I've got one more question for this page here. So, when he's worked up the courage to go and ask the richest man in town, Don Tobias, if he could borrow some land, Don Tobias laughs in his face. Him and his wife are laughing, saying, Why should I let you use my land? You don't know anything about making things grow. And this makes Juan feel sad and ashamed. Why do you think Juan feels ashamed here? Simon?
Actually, he's ashamed for getting make fun of.
Yes, absolutely. Good job, Simon. He's just been made fun of. He's just had people laughing in his face, saying that he's stupid. They're saying, You don't know anything about making things grow. So they're laughing at him, they're laughing at his ability. So he's walking off feeling really sad and embarrassed that he's asked someone for help or to lend some land or to borrow some land, and that's how it's ended. So unfortunately, he goes back to his tree feeling very sad and very ashamed and embarrassed about what has just happened. Okay, let's turn over the page. Who could read all of this for me? I'm going to choose Jenny.
There was one bird who cared very much for John
For Juan.
and wanted him to find his way to in life. This bird
Was
was always around James.
Juan.
Juan.
Juan named him Grajo. This word isn't grajo, like I said in Spanish. J's are pronounced like a hua. So this is grajo. also known as crow in English. He named the Zaneté bird crow because it looks like a black crow. Okay, let's turn over the page. Can you please read all of this page for me, Ming Ang?
After sitting and thinking for a long time, Juan decided to visit the oldest man of the town. Old people know many things because they live longer, Juan thought. He'll give me some advice, and maybe he'll even help me. Juan greeted the old man, whom everyone calls the Grandpa John. With respect, the old man seemed to be in a good mood, so Juan dared to ask him for a piece of land. Let me prove to you so I can be a good farmer and make things grow.
He begged. Good job. Thanks for reading, Ming Ang. So again, what we're learning about Juan here is something that Katie touched on earlier. I can tell that Juan is a seriously hard worker. He's gone and asked the richest man in town for land, and he was laughed at and felt ashamed and walked away with nothing. But that didn't stop him from thinking and realizing, okay, so that didn't work out, but maybe I will try this. So he's gone and asked the oldest man in town if he could borrow a piece of land. Simon, do you have a question?
No, but Juan is
Juan is
determined.
determined. Oh, very good word, Simon. Really good job. Juan is definitely determined. He is determined to prove that he can be a good farmer and that he will be able to produce a really good harvest. Okay, guys, so as you can see, Juan is really a determined, lovely word, Simon, a determined and a hard worker. So he's off to see Grandpa Chan and he's begging, please give me some land. Let me prove to you that I can be a good farmer. Kaki, go ahead. You can read this for me.
Grandpa John became serious. I will help you, he said. I will let you use some land. If you fail, however, you must work for me for free for as many days as you have used my land.
Lovely reading. Okay, guys, why do you think Grandpa Chan becomes serious? So when he first goes to meet Grandpa Chan, he's in a good, smiley mood. But all of a sudden, he becomes serious. Why does Grandpa Chan become serious? He's not joking around. He's not fooling around with anyone. Cherry, what do you think?
I think Grandpa Chan want to say with Juan that it is a big work for you.
It's a lot of work. Absolutely. Good job, Cherry. Well done. So Grandpa Chan is becoming serious here because Juan has asked him quite a serious question. He's asking, can I borrow some land so I can prove to you and to himself that he can be a good farmer? So Grandpa Chan is not smiling anymore. He's thinking about what Juan has asked and he's seriously saying, okay, I will help you. I will let you use some of my land. But what happens if Juan fails? What happens if Juan is not able to be a good farmer? Kuhn.
He will work for Grandpa John.
Very good. Well done. If he does fail and he isn't able to produce a good harvest, he will go to work for Grandpa Chan for free for the same amount of time that he borrows the land. So, for example, if he borrows land for 3 months and is not able to produce any crops or any harvest, he will give the land back. He will go to Grandpa Chan and he will work for free for 3 months. So that's quite a serious proposition. If he fails, he will have to do really hard work for 3 months, for 4 months, for 5 months, for no money whatsoever. So that's quite a serious negotiation. Let's find out and see if Juan decides to take it. Okay, can you please read from Juan to Baker for me, please? Nancy.
Juan ran to the town, shouting for the good news.
Instead of being happy for him, though, people laughed at him. Better you should straighten up my shop. Where you plant, not even weeds will grow, shouted the carpenter. Don't waste your time, Juan. Come and work on this wheel, called the blacksmith. Help me with these sacks of flour and stop dreaming, added the baker.
Good job, Nancy. Thanks for reading with so much expression. Mooney, can you take over and read the rest of this page?
Juan decided that nothing anyone said would stop him. It's time to get to work, he told himself. He began to prepare his land for planting. It was a very tiny patch of land and didn't offer much promise of a big harvest. Still, Juan kept working, watched over by his good friend, the
Xanates.
Zanate.
Very good. Good girl. Okay, guys, I have a question here. So Juan ran into the town shouting, but the carpenter is also shouting. Are they shouting in the same way? Yes or no?
No!
No.
Oh,
They're not shouting in the same way. Ryan, can you help? What do you think? What's different in Juan shouting compared to the carpenter shouting?
One shouted good news, but
Mhm.
the carpenter shouted to make him sad.
Very good, Ryan. Well done. Juan is shouting with happiness. He's running into town saying, Guess what? Guess what? I got a piece of land. I'm going to be a farmer. Yay! He's excited and happy. But instead of other people joining in on the happiness, everyone's laughing. The carpenter is saying, Better you should straighten up my shop. So the carpenter is saying, Where you plant, not even weeds will grow. So he's really making fun of him and trying to make Juan feel really sad. And that's not kind whatsoever. All of the people here are not believing in Juan. They're saying, don't waste your time, stop dreaming. Where you plant, you won't even grow weeds. They're not being supportive of Juan whatsoever. But instead of making Juan feel sad, and instead of Juan going home and crying about what people are saying, he said, whatever, I'm not going to listen. No one can stop me. I'm going to get to work. So again, like Simon said, I'm starting to realize just how determined Juan is. Here on this page, he says, My head is small, like my garden patch, but it is big enough to hold many dreams. So here he's being very inspirational. Even though his garden patch is small, it's big enough to produce the dream of him becoming a good farmer. Let's keep reading. Can you please read this page for me? Dami.
He needed seeds to plant, but didn't have money to buy them. So he went to the shop and asked for them. Juan,
Juan.
sweep up the corn, bean, and squash seeds from the floor and take them to my pigs. The shop owner said, Then if you wish, you can take some seeds for yourself.
Good job. And again, here what we're seeing is Juan has finally got some land, but he has no seeds. He's got no carrot seeds, no apple seeds, no beans, no corn seeds, nothing. And he doesn't have any money to buy them. But instead of going home and crying about not having it, he decides that he will go to a shop and do extra work to get the seeds. Again, I'm really starting to see just how determined and just how hardworking Juan is. Okay, I would like Vanshi to read, please.
Juan was happy because now he has seeds to plant. He didn't scare away the Danates the way the other farmers did.
Instead,
Instead, he gave them some of his leftover seeds to eat so they won't be hungry. After all, the Danates were his friends and he cared for them very much.
Graho
Graho was always with him. giving him advice as he worked.
Very good. Lovely reading, Banshee. Okay, so finally he's got some seeds to plant, and he didn't scare away the Xanates like the other farmers did. Instead, he gave them some of his leftover seeds to eat. So I'm sure that you guys have seen something called a scarecrow before. Scarecrows are things that farmers put in their field that kind of look like a human. So they make a human-like figure out of an old shirt, maybe a flour bag over the head. The reason that farmers put these in their fields is to scare crows away. That's why they're called scarecrows. Crows are notoriously known for plucking and eating at farmers' crops. So crows are known for actually being very bad birds for farmers. But instead of shooing them away, like the other farmers did, Juan is actually giving them some food to eat. What does this tell you about Juan? Okay, Kaki?
It is showing me that Juan is a kind person and
Good girl.
always, even though he don't have many seeds, but he give the bird seeds to eat.
Mhm. Oh, good girl. I'm not sure what that noise just was, but good girl. Even though he doesn't have that many seeds, he is giving them to the birds, and instead of shooing them away, he's feeding them. So this lets me know that he's kind and he cares about nature too. He cares about the animals around him. Okay, guys, I'm going to read this page. Days passed and the tiny plants began to appear. Little shoots of weeds came up along with them. The Xanates told Juan not to throw the weeds away, as the other farmers did. Plant them on the borders of your land, said the birds. So, because Juan has been very kind to the birds here are being kind to him. They're giving him some advice about his farming skills. When the other farmers heard what Juan was doing, they laughed at him. Imagine keeping weeds in your field! Ha 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 ha. So have a look here. The other farmers are pointing and laughing. They think that he's being ridiculous. Usually, farmers go and spray a certain kind of chemical on their plants to make sure weeds don't grow and to stop pests from getting in. But Juan here is listening to his friends and he's keeping the weeds. Let's see how it pans out for Juan. At harvest time, everyone was waiting to make fun of Juan once again. They were sure he would fail. When Juan arrived in town, everyone was amazed. He brought a wonderful harvest, huge ears of corn, brightly colored squashes, and tasty looking beans. So here, because he's listened to his friends, he's listened to the grajo, he's listened to the Xanate birds, they've given him really great advice, and thankfully, he's been able to produce a very large and plentiful harvest. Let's see what everyone thinks about Juan now. Can you please read this page for me? I would like Kuhn to read for me.
How did you do it? They all wanted to know. Juan smiled and answered, I did it with the help of my friend, the scientist, the harvest bird. I learned to listen to the voice of nature. Work for me, Juan.
Juan.
Juan. Everyone shouted.
Shouted.
Shouted. Teach me your secret. No, answered the old man. Juan work for no one now, because I am going to give him the land that he harvested.
Yay, very good. Let's get a round of applause for this story. We all love a happy ending, don't we?
Wow.
Yay. I feel very happy for Juan in the end. Click the raise your hand button if you feel happy for Juan too. Good. I'm really glad. We all feel very happy for Juan. Okay, some of you are giving me some heart emojis as well. Good job. So in the end, because Juan was able to listen to nature and the voice of nature, which he's about to talk about, he was able to produce an amazing harvest. Now have a look here. Why do you think people have changed their mind about Juan? Vicky?
Because they see Juan can Train in mind because they see has grown
Many crops. Good girl, well done. Because they have seen what he was able to do, they noticed that, he actually is a great farmer. He was able to grow many, many, many crops, and he was able to produce a wonderful harvest. Okay, so everyone now has changed their mind. They don't think he's a failure. They actually think he's amazing. And the lovely old man, Grandpa Chon, has rewarded him with something amazing. Everyone's saying, work for me, work for me. And Grandpa Chon is chiming in and saying, no, Juan does not work for anyone but himself because he's gifting him the land that he harvested. So Juan has made a great harvest and he's also got his own piece of land now. So it's an amazing ending for Juan and his hard work. Okay, let's have a look at the last page, guys. Please turn over. And can you read for me from after to secret? I'll go for Sup. I've not heard from you, Sup. From after to secret, please.
After stealing the crop at an excellent price, Hans and and Grandpa Chon returned to the little patch of land. That was now Juan, the old man asked.
That was now Juan's.
That was now Juan's. The old man asked Juan to tell him his secret.
Lovely. And Daisy, can you read the very final paragraph for me?
The Xanate taught me that all plants are like brothers and sisters, replied Juan. If you separate them, they become sad and won't grow. If you respect them and leave them together, they will grow happily and be content.
Very good. Lovely reading, Daisy. Thank you. So the Xanates have taught him a very important lesson. They're saying that plants are like brothers and sisters. If you separate them, they'll be sad and they won't grow. Just like if you were separated from your family, you would feel sad and you wouldn't grow to be a wonderful and happy person. You'd always have a piece of you missing. But if you respect them and leave them together, they will grow happily and be very content. And that is Juan's secret to growing an amazing crop or an amazing harvest. Okay, what a lovely story. So I really did love this story about Juan and the harvest birds. What do you guys think is the main lesson that the author is trying to teach us here? Bo, what do you think?
The lesson is to respect nature.
Absolutely, that's definitely one lesson. Respect nature. Don't shoo the birds away. Don't pull the weeds out and get rid of them. Respect nature. That is one huge lesson in this story. Absolutely. What is another lesson in this story that we might have learned? I'm going to go back to Simon because I think Simon has a really good point that he put it out at the beginning of the story. Simon, what do you think the lesson of this folktale is?
You must stay determined.
Good job. Determined. Amazing work, Simon. So as you can see, Juan never gives up throughout the whole story. He was laughed at. He was told that he could never do it. He had people like making fun of his face and saying, you will never do this. You'll never make weeds grow. But instead of letting all the other people's opinion of him get him down, he worked really hard and he never gave up. And because he worked hard and respected nature, he was able to make his dreams come true. So what a wonderful story. A wonderful day. Make sure to upload your homework before 9 p.m. so I can check it. See you then. Bye-bye.